I begin to tell the story of how great a love can be.
The time has come to think clearly about Swiss Indo. People seem to be missing out on some of the key issues. This short video is to address just one question. Where is the money claimed by Swiss Indo? My view is that Swiss Indo hasn't got any money. Various people like Niel Keenan and others have also said this. Well, maybe they have some, enough to put on a small conference perhaps, but nothing like the money they say they have, for the very simple reason it is impossible for them to have so much money as they are claiming. To say this with conviction, you need to understand a bit about banking. A bank will not accept a deposit if it has nothing useful to do with the money. I will repeat this point since it is of fundamental importance. A bank will not accept a truly large deposit unless it can do something profitable with the money. That is, they will not accept an incoming deposit if it is so big it overwhelms their balance sheet. So now let's look at what Swiss Indo is claiming. Mr. Sino is said to be the signatory for various huge collateral accounts. Just one of them, the spiritual white boy account, is said to contain US dollars 103 followed by 18 zeros. That's 1,030 quadrillion dollars, a colossal and impossible amount. That would be equal to 143 million for each of the 7.2 billion people on our planet. I know some people would like to think this would be nice because it would mean their share of the planet's wealth is big. But the money is simply not there. It is not in spiritual white boy's account, nor is it anywhere on this planet. Let me show you why. Another way to look at this is the huge sum of 1 followed by 18 zeros can be compared with the annual GDP of the planet. The US GDP is 16.7 trillion. So at that rate, it would take over 60,000 years to refill the account if Swiss Indo was getting all of the US's annual earnings. Let's look at world GDP, which is about 75 trillion. At that rate, it would take over 13,000 years to refill the account. Now, both of these numbers for GDP were far smaller just a few years ago, maybe half the current size 10 years ago. So it is pretty obvious that over the life of this planet, numbers of the size of Swiss Indo's claim have never been generated by the world economy. So if you believe these crazy numbers, I have to ask you, where does Sino's wealth come from? Another universe, perhaps? But this is not the end of the story. If Sino wants to move his money out of banks to hand over to the people, Sino would force the banks to call in all of their loans. I'll give you an example. The biggest U.S. bank is J.P. Chase. They have a balance sheet of $2.4 trillion. And the deposits they hold for customers are about half that, 1.2 trillion. If you assume half of those deposits were owed to one customer, spiritual white boy, which by the way is an impossibility according to an ex-banker friend of mine, but if you assume that, then the white boy accounts will be spread over 1.7 million banks the size of J.P. Morgan. There aren't that many banks in the world. Since the sixth U.S. bank is only 1/3 the size of Morgan, this is a very clear impossibility. There is simply no way that Sino could be storing that much wealth in banks or on planet Earth. So the time has come to stop talking nonsense and start speaking sense. This means asking the right questions and doing some vital research. Don't you think so?
Angel song wild imaginings. She fills my soul.